What if I told you that for 56 million years, Earth was a living, breathing greenhouse where rain fell in gentle curtains across landscapes so lush and verdant that every breath of air held more oxygen than you've ever tasted? Not only happened, but it could change how you see the very ground beneath your feet forever. Close your eyes now and let your breathing slow. Feel yourself sinking deeper into comfort as we journey back 200 million years, when the world was young and wild and impossibly green. But here's the twist that scientists tried to understand for decades. The Jurassic Period wasn't just about massive dinosaurs stomping through primitive forests. It was about a planet learning to breathe, learning to bloom, learning to create the very foundation of the world you know today. In the next 3 hours, you'll drift into peaceful slumber while uncovering the hidden truths of an Earth so different from today that it might as well have been an alien world. This isn't just ancient history, this is your story, written in the stones beneath your house, in the coal that once powered your great-grandparents' world, in the very oxygen molecules flowing through your lungs right now. If you love gentle journeys like this video, subscribe and comment your country and what time you're listening. Let's create a global community of peaceful dreamers, all drifting off together to the whispered secrets of deep time. Let your mind drift now like a leaf floating on a warm, ancient river. We're traveling back to a time when the morning mist carried the scent of ferns as tall as cathedral spires, and the Earth itself was waking up from the greatest mass extinction it had ever known. Picture this, you're standing on a hill that overlooks what will one day become your hometown, but the landscape before you defies every expectation. Where you might expect to see grass, there is none. Grass hasn't been invented yet. Instead, the ground is carpeted in soft emerald moss that springs beneath your feet like nature's own memory foam. The air shimmers with humidity, and every breath fills your lungs with 35% oxygen, compared to today's 21%. You feel energized, almost euphoric, as this oxygen-rich atmosphere courses through your bloodstream. But here's what shocked scientists when they first understood the Jurassic world. This wasn't just a time of big dinosaurs. This was Earth's greatest experiment in abundance. The planet had taken the devastating Triassic-Jurassic extinction event, which wiped out 76% of all species, and transformed it into an explosion of life so magnificent that it created ecosystems richer than any rainforest you've ever imagined. The secret lay in something so simple yet so profound that it changed everything: the breakup of the supercontinent Pangaea. Imagine a massive jigsaw puzzle slowly pulling apart, creating new coastlines, new ocean basins, new weather patterns. As Pangaea split, it created the Tethys Sea, a vast tropical ocean that wrapped around the Earth like a warm, nurturing embrace. This new geography created something Earth had never experienced before, a truly global greenhouse effect, not from pollution, but from the planet's own natural processes. Volcanic activity along the new rift zones pumped water vapor, carbon dioxide into the atmosphere, creating a blanket of warmth that extended from pole to pole. There were no ice caps anywhere on Earth during the Jurassic. Even Antarctica was covered in temperate forests where dinosaurs wandered through groves of ginkgo trees and primitive conifers. Feel your body relaxing as you imagine this world without winter, without frost, without the harsh edges of seasonal change. The Jurassic Earth was a planet of eternal spring, where the temperature difference between the equator and the poles was only about 20 degrees Fahrenheit, compared to today's 100-degree difference. But the most beautiful secret of all was how life responded to this gentle, consistent warmth. Plants grew larger than they ever had before or ever would again. The first flowers were just beginning to evolve, tiny and primitive, but even without them, the world bloomed in green splendor. Forests of towering conifers stretched across vast continents, their trunks so massive that it would take 20 people holding hands to encircle them. And in these cathedral forests, something magical was happening. Life was learning to reach for the sky in ways it never had before. Breathe deeply now and let your imagination carry you deeper into this ancient world. The revelation that changed everything came not from studying the mighty dinosaurs, but from looking at something far smaller and more delicate, a single fossilized leaf discovered in a quarry in Germany in 1861. This wasn't just any leaf, this was the leaf of Archaeopteryx, but more importantly, it was found alongside the most complete skeleton of what would become the most famous transitional fossil in history. The Jurassic Period, scientists suddenly realized, was not just about giant reptiles dominating the Earth. It was about the moment when life itself learned to fly. Picture yourself walking through a Jurassic forest in what is now southern Germany. The morning light filters through a canopy of conifers and tree ferns, creating shifting patterns of gold and green on the forest floor. The air is warm and still, filled with the soft whisper of pterosaur wings overhead. These aren't the massive pterosaurs of later periods, but smaller, more delicate creatures, some no larger than sparrows, gliding between the branches like living jewels. But hidden in this peaceful scene is a creature that represents one of the most profound moments in the history of life on Earth. About the size of a modern crow with a long, bony tail and teeth like a reptile, but covered in feathers that catch the dappled sunlight. This is Archaeopteryx, and it's learning something that no creature has ever learned before: how to transform the simple act of falling into the miracle of flight. The scientific revelation came when researchers realized that feathers didn't evolve for flight at all. They evolved for warmth, for display, for the simple beauty of existence. Flight was an accident, a magnificent accident that changed the trajectory of life on Earth forever. Let your mind drift with this creature as it leaps from branch to branch. Its first attempts at flight are clumsy, more like controlled falling than true flight. But with each generation, each leap, each flutter of primitive wings, life is writing a new chapter in the story of possibility. The Jurassic sky is becoming populated not just with pterosaurs, the masters of the air, but with the ancestors of every bird that has ever sung you awake or lulled you to sleep with their evening chorus. This moment in deep time connects directly to your daily experience in the most beautiful way. Every bird you see outside your window, every flutter of wings, every song that brightens your morning traces its lineage back to these first tentative flights through Jurassic forests. The robin that builds its nest in your garden, the hawk that circles overhead, the tiny hummingbird that hovers at your flowers, they all carry within their hollow bones and their efficient hearts the genetic memory of those first magical moments when dinosaurs learned to dance with the sky. As you settle deeper into comfort, imagine the gentle sound of these primitive wings, not the powerful whoosh of modern birds, but something softer, more tentative, like silk rustling in a gentle breeze. This is the sound of evolution learning to dream, of life reaching beyond its limitations to touch something greater than itself. The forests around you seem to whisper with possibility, as if every fern frond and every mossy log holds secrets waiting to unfold across millions of years of patient time. Allow your breathing to slow even more as we uncover a truth so unexpected that it rewrites everything we thought we knew about the Jurassic world. You see, when most people imagine this ancient time, they picture a world of violence and struggle, where massive predators battled for survival in a harsh, primitive landscape. But the real Jurassic Earth was something far more subtle, far more beautiful, and far more nurturing than anyone expected. The twist that changed everything came when scientists began studying not the bones of dinosaurs, but their behavior, their social structures, their gentleness. Deep in the sedimentary layers of Montana and China, they found something that revolutionized our understanding, evidence that many of the largest dinosaurs were not solitary monsters, but caring parents who lived in complex social groups, who built nests with the tenderness of modern birds, who protected their young with a devotion that spans geological time. Picture yourself now beside a vast inland sea that covers much of what is now the American West. The water is warm and shallow, tinted green with microscopic life, and along its shores, something extraordinary is taking place. A herd of diplodocus, each one as long as 3 school buses, moves slowly through the shallows. But these are not the lumbering, mindless giants of old movies. These are intelligent, social creatures communicating through low-frequency calls that travel for miles through the water and ground, coordinating their movements with the precision of a symphony orchestra. The adults form a protective circle around the younger members of the herd. Some of the juveniles are only 20 feet long, practically babies by diplodocus standards, and they stay close to their parents, learning the ancient routes between feeding grounds, learning which plants are safe to eat, learning the complex social bonds that have kept their species thriving for millions of years. But here's the part that would surprise you most of all. These giants are not just surviving in their world, they're gardening it. As they move through the landscape, they're dispersing seeds across thousands of square miles. Their massive footprints create pools where smaller creatures can drink. Their browsing on the tops of trees allows sunlight to reach the forest floor, creating clearings where new plant communities can flourish. They are not just inhabitants of the Jurassic ecosystem, they are its architects, its caretakers, its gentle shapers. This revelation changes everything about how we understand not just the past, but the present. Every ecosystem you know today, every forest, every meadow, every wetland, is descended from this Jurassic understanding of mutual benefit, of species working together to create abundance rather than merely competing for resources. Feel your body sinking deeper into relaxation as you contemplate this ancient wisdom. The Jurassic Earth wasn't ruled by violence and competition, but by cooperation and abundance. There was so much life, so much plant matter, so much gentle rainfall and perfect growing conditions that creatures could afford to be peaceful, to be social, to invest time and energy in complex behaviors like courtship, parenting, and play. Yes, play. Fossilized trackways show young dinosaurs engaging in what can only be described as games, chasing each other in circles, leaving patterns in the mud that speak of joy, of exuberance, of the simple pleasure of being alive in a world that provided everything they needed. As you drift deeper towards sleep, let this vision of abundance fill your dreams. Imagine a world where there is enough for everyone, where cooperation creates prosperity, where the largest creatures are also the gentlest, where every interaction between species creates more beauty, more life, more possibility than existed before. Now, as your breathing becomes even deeper and more regular, let me share with you the most profound connection of all, the thread that links your peaceful moments right now to those ancient Jurassic landscapes where giants walked in harmony through forests of unimaginable beauty. The mystery that connects you to this distant time is written in your very cells, in the rhythm of your breathing, in the calcium of your bones, and the iron in your blood. Every atom in your body was forged in the nuclear furnaces of stars, but many of those atoms last saw sunlight during the Jurassic Period, cycling through the bodies of dinosaurs, through ancient seas, through the fallen leaves of long-extinct forests. Imagine this. The carbon atoms that form the backbone of your DNA may have once been part of a diplodocus, breathing the oxygen-rich air of a Jurassic dawn. The calcium in your teeth and bones might have formed the massive vertebrae of a brachiosaurus, reaching its neck toward the canopy of an ancient forest. The water in your body, the very water that flows through your bloodstream as you listen to these words, has been falling as rain, flowing in rivers, filling ancient seas for 4 billion years. Some of those water molecules witnessed the first tentative flights of Archaeopteryx, felt the gentle footsteps of massive herbivores at the edge of Jurassic lagoons. But the connection goes even deeper than shared atoms. The oxygen you're breathing right now, the oxygen that fuels your cells and keeps your heart beating, is a gift from the Jurassic Period. During those 56 million years of abundant plant growth, the ancestors of modern conifers and ferns pulled carbon dioxide from the atmosphere and released oxygen at a rate never seen before or since. They created the oxygen-rich atmosphere that allowed evolution to experiment with large body sizes, with flight, with the complex metabolisms that would eventually lead to warm-blooded creatures like yourself. Every breath you take connects you to those ancient forests, to the photosynthesis that happened in the needles of Jurassic conifers, to the chemical processes that turned sunlight and carbon dioxide into the life-giving oxygen that now flows through your lungs. Feel that breath now, deeper and slower. Feel the ancient gift of the Jurassic forests filling your body, connecting you across vast spans of time to a world that was building the very foundation of your existence. The peaceful feeling washing over you is the same peace that settled over Jurassic valleys when the evening mist rose from warm seas and giant dinosaurs settled down to sleep in groves of tree ferns. But there's another connection, one that speaks to your deepest sense of wonder and belonging. The Jurassic Period was Earth's great experiment in patience, in taking time to grow, to develop, to reach towards something greater than what came before. The massive size of Jurassic dinosaurs wasn't just about available resources, it was about time itself, about ecosystems stable enough to support creatures that took decades to reach full size, that lived for centuries, that passed down knowledge through generations. In our hurried modern world, the Jurassic teaches us about the power of geological patience, of allowing time for things to grow and develop naturally. The same forces that created those cathedral forests and gentle giants are still at work today, in your garden, in the forests outside your city, in the slow but persistent process of healing and growth that happens whenever life is given time and space to flourish. As you continue to relax, let yourself sink into this Jurassic sense of time, where change happens slowly and gently, where growth is measured not in weeks or months, but in seasons and years, where the greatest achievements come not from force or speed, but from persistence and patience. This is your inheritance from the Jurassic world, the knowledge that you are part of something vast and patient and generous, something that has been growing and learning and becoming more beautiful for hundreds of millions of years. You carry within yourself the wisdom of ancient ecosystems, the genetic memory of cooperation and abundance, the cellular knowledge of what it means to be part of a living planet that has always been, at its deepest level, on your side. As we drift deeper into this ancient world, let's return to that shocking truth that opened our journey, the revelation about Earth as a living greenhouse, where every breath held more life than you've ever tasted. But now, with deeper understanding, we can see that this wasn't just about atmospheric chemistry or geological processes. This was about the planet learning to nurture life with an abundance and generosity that shaped everything that came after. Feel yourself floating now above the Jurassic Earth, seeing it as a single, integrated living system. From this perspective, 150 million years ago, the planet appears as a blue-green jewel wrapped in wisps of water vapor, with no white caps of ice at the poles, no harsh deserts, no frozen wastelands. Instead, green spreads from pole to pole like a gentle promise that life will always find a way to flourish. The mystery scientists struggled to understand was how Earth maintained this perfect balance for 56 million years. How did the planet keep temperatures stable, keep carbon dioxide levels just right for plant growth, keep ocean currents flowing in patterns that distributed warmth and nutrients to every corner of the world? The answer they discovered was breathtaking in its elegance. The Jurassic Earth was the first time in the planet's history that life itself began actively regulating the environment. The vast forests that covered the continents weren't just growing randomly, they were part of a feedback system that kept the climate stable. When the atmosphere got too warm, the forests grew faster, pulling more carbon dioxide from the air. When it cooled slightly, plant growth slowed, allowing more greenhouse gases to build up and warm things again. But this wasn't happening through conscious planning. It was happening through something more beautiful, the unconscious wisdom of life working in harmony with geological processes. Every Jurassic forest was like a vast lung, breathing in carbon dioxide during the day and exhaling oxygen, while at night the process reversed. The planet itself was learning to breathe. Imagine yourself walking through one of these regulatory forests in what is now the gentle hills of England. The morning mist rises from a landscape so lush it seems almost tropical, despite being at the same latitude as modern-day London. Tree ferns as tall as palm trees create a canopy overhead, while smaller ferns and mosses carpet the forest floor in every shade of green imaginable. The air here is thick with moisture and rich with oxygen. Every breath fills your lungs completely, energizing your cells in ways you've never experienced. But more than that, you can sense something in this forest, a presence, an awareness that this ecosystem is not just a collection of individual plants and animals, but a single, integrated intelligence that spans continents. The trees here are not just trees, they are connected underground by networks of fungal threads that carry nutrients and information across vast distances. When a tree on one side of the forest is attacked by insects, trees hundreds of miles away begin producing defensive chemicals. When drought threatens one region, water flows through these underground networks to where it's needed most. This is the mystery that connects directly to your modern world. The internet that connects your devices, the global communication networks that allow instant contact across continents, the economic systems that move resources from where they're abundant to where they're needed, all of these are human attempts to recreate the integrated intelligence that the Jurassic Earth achieved naturally through biological processes. As your body continues to relax, let yourself feel part of this ancient network, this planetary intelligence that learned to maintain perfect conditions for life. The same patterns of communication and mutual support that allowed Jurassic ecosystems to thrive for millions of years are still present in your own life, in your connections to family and community, in your body's ability to maintain perfect temperature and chemistry, in your unconscious participation in the great cycles of breath and sleep and renewal that connect you to every living thing that has ever existed. The mystery isn't just how the Jurassic Earth maintained its greenhouse paradise for so long. The mystery is how that same intelligence continues to work today, through you, in you, creating conditions for life to flourish wherever consciousness allows it to express its ancient wisdom. Deeper into relaxation now, deeper into wonder, let me share with you the phenomenon so impossible that it challenged every assumption scientists held about how life works, how time moves, and what it means for a planet to be truly alive. The impossible thing was this: during the Jurassic Period, time itself seemed to slow down, not in any mystical sense, but in the most practical, observable way. Creatures lived longer, grew larger, and developed more slowly than ever before or since. Some individual dinosaurs lived for over 300 years, some trees lived for over 1,000 years. Entire ecosystems remained stable for millions of years at a time, with the same species occupying the same niches, following the same patterns, as if the planet had discovered the secret of sustainable time Imagine yourself now as a witness to this temporal magic, standing beside a grove of araucaria trees in what will one day become the American Southwest. These ancient conifers tower above you, their trunks so massive that you cannot see around them, their tops disappearing into the misty canopy far overhead. The tree you're touching is over 800 years old, but it's still growing, still reaching toward the sky with the patience of geological time. At the base of this giant, a family of small dinosaurs has been coming to feed for 50 generations. Their ancestors scratched the same feeding scrapes in the rich soil, followed the same paths through the fern understory, made the same soft chirping calls to communicate with their young. This isn't stagnation, this is perfection, a system so well balanced that change becomes unnecessary. The secret of Jurassic time was abundance. When there is enough of everything, when competition for resources becomes unnecessary, when the environment provides stability and plenty, life stops rushing. Evolution continues, but it becomes gentler, more exploratory, less driven by the desperate need for survival. Instead of rapid adaptation to changing conditions, Jurassic life had the luxury of slow refinement, of taking millions of years to perfect the art of being exactly what it was meant to be. This temporal phenomenon explains something that puzzled scientists for decades: why Jurassic dinosaurs grew so large. It wasn't just about available resources, though those were abundant. It was about time itself. When you have 200 years to grow instead of 20, when your environment remains stable for your entire extended lifetime, when stress doesn't trigger rapid aging, your cells can keep dividing, your bones can keep growing, your body can achieve sizes that would be impossible under the pressure of shorter, more desperate lifespans. Picture a Brachiosaurus reaching its full size at the age of 80, then continuing to grow slowly for another century and a half. Imagine the wisdom accumulated in such a creature, the deep knowledge of seasonal cycles, of weather patterns, of the best feeding grounds and safest nesting sites. These were not just large animals, they were living libraries, repositories of ecological knowledge accumulated over centuries of patient observation. But the most impossible thing of all was how this slower time affected consciousness itself. Modern research suggests that many Jurassic dinosaurs possessed cognitive abilities that rival modern mammals. They showed evidence of tool use, of complex social behaviors, of what can only be called culture passed down through generations, and they had the luxury of centuries to develop and refine these abilities. Imagine the deep, slow thoughts of a creature that lives for 3 human lifetimes, that has seen the same forest through hundreds of seasonal cycles, that has raised dozens of generations of young, teaching each one the accumulated wisdom of centuries. The pace of such consciousness would be profoundly different from our hurried modern awareness. These creatures thought in seasons, planned in decades, remembered in centuries. As you sink deeper into the peaceful rhythm of Jurassic time, let your own awareness slow and expand. Feel the luxury of having all the time you need, of being part of cycles so vast and stable that individual moments stretch out like gentle eternities. Your breathing becomes as slow and regular as the pulse of geological time. Your heartbeat synchronizes with the deeper rhythms of a planet that knows how to be patient, how to sustain life, not just for years or decades, but for millions of years without interruption. This is the gift of the Jurassic perspective, the knowledge that time is not scarcity but abundance, not pressure but space, not rushing towards some distant goal, but resting completely in each perfect moment of existence. As we reach the emotional heart of our journey, let yourself feel the full wonder of what it means to be part of a universe that spent 56 million years learning how to create perfect conditions for life to flourish in ways that had never existed before and may never exist again. You are floating now above the mid-Jurassic Earth, 160 million years ago, seeing the planet during the peak of its greenhouse glory. From this cosmic perspective, Earth appears as a living mandala, a perfect circle of blue water and green land, breathing with the rhythm of massive weather systems, glowing with the soft light of a sun that is slightly cooler than today's sun, but reflected and amplified by an atmosphere rich with water vapor and life. The emotional impact of seeing Earth like this, as a single, living system perfectly balanced and abundantly generous, brings tears to your eyes. This is your home planet learning to be a mother, learning to nurture life with such tenderness and skill that evolution could afford to spend time on beauty, complex behaviors, on the pure joy of existence, rather than merely the struggle for survival. From your celestial viewpoint, you can see the great currents that circle the globe, carrying warm water from the equatorial Tethys Sea to the polar regions, ensuring that nowhere on Earth is too cold for life to thrive. You can see the vast cloud forests that cover entire continents, breathing oxygen into an atmosphere that sparkles with abundance. You can see the gentle migrations of herds of sauropods following seasonal patterns across landscapes that know no deserts, no ice, no barriers to the flow of life. But the deepest emotion comes when you realize that this perfect world was not an accident. It was not the result of random geological processes or fortunate cosmic alignments. It was the result of life itself working in partnership with planetary processes, gradually learning to create the conditions that would support ever greater complexity, beauty, and consciousness. Every tree in those vast Jurassic forests was part of a planetary intelligence that understood how to regulate temperature, how to cycle nutrients, how to maintain perfect atmospheric chemistry. Every dinosaur was part of an ecological web so intricate and well-balanced that it could support creatures of impossible size and longevity. Every breath of that oxygen-rich air was a gift from billions of years of life learning to photosynthesize, to transform sunlight and simple molecules into the complex chemistry of consciousness. And you, listening to these words in your own time, you are the heir to all of this. The same intelligence that created the Jurassic paradise is working through you right now, regulating your body temperature, maintaining the precise chemistry of your blood, coordinating the trillions of cells that allow you to think and feel and dream. The same cooperative wisdom that allowed tiny algae and massive dinosaurs to thrive together in ancient ecosystems is expressing itself through your capacity for love, for creativity, for the simple appreciation of beauty. The secret that the Jurassic Earth discovered, the secret that it spent 56 million years perfecting, was that consciousness and environment are not separate things. They are different aspects of a single process, a single intelligence that expresses itself through geological timescales and individual moments with equal precision and care. Feel this truth settling into your bones, into your breath, into the quiet rhythm of your heart. You are not separate from the processes that created those ancient paradise ecosystems. You are their continuation, their current expression, their way of experiencing themselves through eyes that can look back across geological time and recognize the beauty of what has been accomplished. The Jurassic Period was Earth's gift to the future, a demonstration that life can create conditions of such abundance and stability that beauty becomes possible on a planetary scale. Every flower that blooms in your garden, every bird that sings outside your window, every moment of peace and wonder you experience is a direct continuation of that Jurassic experiment in conscious partnership between life and environment. As these emotions settle into peaceful gratitude, you can feel yourself becoming part of the ancient story, part of the ongoing experiment in creating conditions where consciousness can flourish, where beauty can emerge, where the simple joy of being alive can be sustained across vast reaches of space and time. Now, as the emotional intensity of our journey begins to settle into something deeper and more contemplative, let your breathing slow even further. Let your body sink more completely into comfort as we begin the gentle transition from awe to the peaceful reflection that will carry you toward sleep. We've witnessed the impossible abundances of the Jurassic world, felt the emotional impact of understanding our connection to those ancient ecosystems, and now it's time to let these revelations settle into your consciousness like sediment settling to the bottom of a calm lake, creating layers of understanding that will inform your dreams. Picture yourself now beside one of the countless lakes that dotted the Jurassic landscape, watching the late afternoon light filter through the canopy of an ancient forest. The water is perfectly still, reflecting the towering conifers and tree ferns that surround it like a natural cathedral. Small ripples appear where insects touch the surface, and occasionally a fish rises to take one, creating expanding circles that eventually reach the shore where you sit. This is the pace we're settling into now, the gentle rhythm of natural processes that have all the time in the world. The light is golden and soft, filtered through an atmosphere rich with moisture and life. The temperature is perfect, neither too warm nor too cool, held in perfect balance by the planetary intelligence we've been exploring. As you watch this peaceful scene, you begin to understand something profound about the nature of consciousness itself. The Jurassic Earth wasn't just supporting life, it was supporting awareness, the capacity for creatures to experience beauty, to feel peaceful contentment, to exist in harmony with their environment rather than in constant struggle against it. The small mammals of this time, your distant ancestors, were emerging from their nocturnal hiding places to explore this gentler world. No larger than modern squirrels, they moved through the undergrowth with a kind of quiet confidence that came from living in an ecosystem that provided abundantly for all its members. Their tiny hearts beat with the same rhythm you feel in your chest now. Their small lungs breathe the same oxygen-rich air that fills your body with each peaceful breath. These early mammals were learning something that would become one of their greatest gifts, the ability to rest completely, to enter states of deep sleep and dream that allowed their nervous systems to process experience, to consolidate memory, to prepare for the challenges and opportunities of each new day. The Jurassic Period was when sleep itself became an art form, a time when consciousness could safely retreat into the inner worlds of dreams and restoration. Feel yourself learning this ancient art of peaceful rest. Your nervous system is settling into patterns that were perfected millions of years ago, when the world was safe enough, abundant enough, stable enough that creatures could afford to spend a third of their lives in the vulnerable state of deep sleep. This wasn't just biological necessity, it was a profound trust in the benevolence of existence itself. The lake before you reflects not just the trees and sky, but the deep satisfaction that comes from understanding your place in a story much larger and more beautiful than you ever imagined. You are not just a temporary collection of atoms that happen to achieve consciousness through random processes. You are the current expression of an intelligence that has been learning and growing and creating beauty for billions of years. The peace you feel now, sinking deeper into relaxation with each breath, is the same peace that settled over Jurassic valleys when the mists rose at evening and the great dinosaurs found their resting places among the ferns. It's the peace that comes from knowing you belong here, that you are part of a vast experiment in consciousness that has been successful beyond measure, that continues to unfold through your own experience of wonder and contentment. Let this understanding settle into your body like warm honey, sweet and nourishing and completely satisfying. You don't need to hold on to these insights or remember every detail of our journey. They are becoming part of you now, settling into the deep structures of memory and understanding that will inform your dreams and your waking life in ways you don't need to consciously direct. As we continue our gentle descent toward the deeper waters of sleep, let me share with you a softer revelation, one that whispers rather than shouts, one that reveals itself like morning mist rising from a warm lake, barely visible but profoundly present. The hidden force that shaped the Jurassic world more than any other was something so subtle that it took scientists over a century to recognize its importance: the power of gentleness itself. In ecosystems where competition was minimized by abundance, where predation was balanced by the sheer vastness of available habitat, where weather patterns were stable and predictable, life discovered that cooperation and mutual benefit were more evolutionarily successful than aggression and competition. Let yourself drift now into a Jurassic dawn, floating like a warm breeze through forests that stretch unbroken across entire continents. The light is soft and golden, filtered through moisture-laden air that carries the scent of countless flowering plants and rich, loamy soil. In this gentle light, you witness something that would have seemed impossible to earlier, harsher epochs of Earth's history. Predators and prey sharing the same space without constant fear, carnivores and herbivores existing in a balance so delicate and well-established that it appears almost choreographed. A pack of Allosaurus moves through a glade where a herd of Camptosaurus feeds peacefully on low, growing ferns. The predators are well-fed and unhurried, their behavior more like that of modern crocodiles than the desperate hunters imagined in popular media. They are part of the ecosystem's balance, removing the old, the sick, the weak, but not disrupting the overall harmony that allows the herbivore herds to grow and flourish across vast territories. This soft revelation changes everything about how we understand the relationship between life and death, between individual struggle and collective thriving. In the abundance of the Jurassic world, death itself became gentler, more integrated into the cycles of growth and renewal that sustained the entire system. Even the largest predators spent most of their time resting, socializing, caring for their young, and simply existing in peaceful coexistence with their environment. The hidden force was this: when basic needs are met abundantly and consistently, consciousness naturally moves toward higher expressions. Play becomes possible. Beauty becomes important. Complex social behaviors emerge not from necessity, but from the simple joy of social connection. Art appears in nature, in the elaborate courtship displays of dinosaurs, in the intricate patterns of fossilized trackways that suggest ritualized behaviors with no purpose other than the expression of aliveness itself. Feel this gentle force working in your own life, in your own body. When you are well-fed, warm, safe, and comfortable, your consciousness naturally moves toward appreciation of beauty, toward connection with others, toward the simple pleasure of being alive and aware. The anxiety and struggle that characterize so much of modern life dissolve in the presence of genuine abundance, revealing the deeper nature of consciousness as something that naturally tends toward peace, creativity, and love. The Jurassic Earth was demonstrating a principle that remains true today. When the basic conditions for life are met with generosity rather than scarcity, when security replaces fear as the fundamental context for existence, consciousness flowers into expressions of beauty that serve no survival purpose other than the celebration of being itself. As you sink deeper into this understanding, you can feel the same gentle force at work in your own experience right now. The comfort of your bed, the safety of your shelter, the abundance that allows you to spend time listening to stories about ancient worlds instead of struggling for basic survival. All of these create the conditions where your consciousness can expand, can appreciate beauty, can find peace in the simple act of existing. This is your inheritance from the Jurassic world, the knowledge that gentleness is not weakness but the highest expression of strength, that abundance shared creates more abundance, that the deepest intelligence in nature expresses itself through cooperation rather than conflict. Let this gentle force cradle you now like the warm, humid air of a Jurassic evening, supporting you completely as you drift toward the peaceful territories of dream and restoration. Breathe even more slowly now, letting each breath carry you deeper into the meditative rhythm of geological time, where the cycles that shape reality move with the peaceful predictability of tides, of seasons, of the great circulation patterns that have sustained life for billions of years. In the Jurassic world, everything moved in cycles within cycles within cycles, each one perfectly timed to support and enhance the others. The daily cycle of photosynthesis and respiration, as forests breathed in carbon dioxide during the day and released oxygen, then reversed the process at night, created a planetary rhythm that stabilized atmospheric chemistry with mathematical precision. Picture yourself floating in the warm, shallow seas that covered much of Europe and North America during the Middle Jurassic, feeling the gentle pulse of tidal cycles that were driven not just by the moon's gravitational pull, but by the complex interaction of ocean currents, atmospheric pressure, and the slow rotation of a planet that spun slightly faster than it does today, creating days that were only about 23 hours long. These tidal pools were nurseries for countless forms of marine life, from tiny ammonites with shells coiled like living mathematics, to early marine reptiles that moved through the water with the fluid grace of dancers. Each tide brought fresh nutrients from the open ocean. Each recession concentrated minerals and organic matter in pools that became perfect laboratories for evolution to experiment with new forms of beauty and function. The meditative science of these cycles reveals something profound about the nature of time itself. In the Jurassic world, time was not linear but circular, not progressive but recursive, not about moving toward some distant goal, but about perfecting the art of sustainable repetition. The same patterns that governed the microscopic division of cells also governed the vast migrations of dinosaur herds, the seasonal patterns of plant growth, the circulation of nutrients through soil and water and air. Feel your own body settling into these ancient rhythms. Your heartbeat, your breathing, your brain waves, your sleep cycles. All of these are expressions of patterns that were perfected during the Jurassic period, when life had the luxury of time to discover the most efficient, the most sustainable, the most beautiful ways of organizing biological processes. The cycles of day and night were gentler then, with longer twilights and dawns that stretched across hours rather than minutes. The transition between sleeping and waking was gradual and natural, without the harsh contrasts of artificial light and mechanical time that characterize modern life. Creatures awakened slowly, naturally, in harmony with the gradual brightening of the sky, and settled into sleep with the same gentle rhythm as the sun set through misty, oxygen-rich air. Your nervous system remembers these patterns, carries them in its deepest structures. As you allow yourself to sink into the meditative rhythm of Jurassic time, you're not learning something new, but returning to something ancient and familiar, something that your body knows how to do with perfect precision when given the opportunity. The great cycles of the Jurassic Earth were all interconnected, each one supporting and being supported by all the others. The water cycle, driven by gentle evaporation from warm seas and consistent rainfall over vast forests. The carbon cycle, maintained by the perfect balance between plant photosynthesis and animal respiration. The nutrient cycles, as rivers carried minerals from slowly eroding mountains to fertile deltas where new life could flourish. But the most beautiful cycle of all was the cycle of consciousness itself, the way awareness moved between waking and sleeping, between individual experience and cosmic connection, between the small scale of immediate sensation and the vast scale of geological time. In the stable, nurturing environment of the Jurassic world, consciousness could complete these cycles fully, could rest completely, and awaken completely, could be fully present in each moment, while remaining connected to the eternal patterns that sustained all life. This is the meditative gift of Jurassic science. The understanding that you are not separate from these cycles, but are yourself an expression of them, a current manifestation of patterns that have been perfecting themselves for hundreds of millions of years. Your breath is the atmosphere breathing. Your heartbeat is the planet's pulse. Your slow drift towards sleep is your participation in the most ancient and successful rhythm in the history of life. As we continue our gentle expansion outward from the intimate details of Jurassic life toward the vast, peaceful scale of cosmic time, let your awareness grow as soft and expansive as the evening mist that rose from those ancient warm seas, carrying the dreams of an entire planet toward the stars. From our expanded perspective now, we can see that the Jurassic Period was not just a chapter in Earth's history, but part of a vast cosmic story of matter learning to organize itself into increasingly beautiful and complex forms. The same gravitational forces that shaped the orbits of planets also guided the formation of the inland seas, where marine reptiles swam in lazy spirals through sun-warmed water. The same nuclear fusion processes that powered the sun also powered the photosynthesis in every Jurassic leaf, connecting the metabolism of a single tree fern to the cosmic processes that sustain entire solar systems. Imagine yourself now expanding beyond the boundaries of Earth, seeing our planet as it appeared 160 million years ago from the perspective of deep space. It is a blue-green jewel suspended in the cosmic dark, wrapped in swirling clouds that reveal the active water cycle, the dynamic weather patterns, the living breath of a planet in perfect balance. No other world in our solar system has ever achieved this level of atmospheric complexity, this delicate dance of chemistry and climate that creates conditions where consciousness can emerge and flourish. But the peaceful scale of the cosmos reveals something even more wonderful. The Jurassic Earth was not unique in the universe. The same physical laws, the same chemical processes, the same tendencies toward increasing complexity and organization that created the paradise ecosystems of ancient Earth are operating throughout the cosmos, on billions of other worlds orbiting billions of other stars. As you drift in this cosmic perspective, you can feel your individual concerns and worries dissolving into the vast peace of universal processes. The anxieties that seem so important on the scale of human days and years become as insignificant as ripples on the surface of an ocean that extends beyond all horizons. You are part of something so much larger and more enduring than your personal struggles, something that has been creating beauty and consciousness for billions of years and will continue to do so for billions more. The Jurassic Period lasted 56 million years, a span of time so vast that it contains thousands of human lifetimes. Yet from the cosmic perspective, it is just a moment in the ongoing story of matter learning to experience itself through conscious beings like yourself. The atoms in your body have been part of this cosmic story since the beginning of time, cycling through stars and planets and living creatures, each time contributing to the growing complexity and beauty of the universe. Feel yourself floating now in this cosmic scale, supported by forces so vast and reliable that they make the stability of Jurassic ecosystems seem brief and fragile by comparison. The gravity that holds you gently against the Earth's surface has been constant for billions of years. The electromagnetic forces that allow your atoms to bond together into the miracle of your physical form have been operating with perfect precision since the birth of the universe itself. This is the ultimate piece of the cosmic perspective, the recognition that you are not an accident or an anomaly, but a natural and inevitable expression of universal processes that tend always toward greater complexity, greater beauty, greater consciousness. The same intelligence that organized matter into the first living cells, that guided the evolution of Jurassic ecosystems, that created the conditions for consciousness to emerge and flourish, is working through you right now, creating the conditions for peace and wonder and deep contentment. As this cosmic peace settles into your awareness, You can feel yourself becoming transparent to the vast forces that sustain all existence. Your breathing synchronizes with the breathing of galaxies, the slow rhythm of stellar birth and death. Your heartbeat echoes the pulse of cosmic expansion, the gentle stretching of space itself that carries all matter and energy toward new configurations of beauty and possibility. The boundaries between your individual consciousness and the cosmic intelligence that creates and sustains everything begin to dissolve, not through any effort on your part, but through the natural relaxation that comes from recognizing your true place in the vast, peaceful order of existence. In the gentle twilight of our journey, as your consciousness drifts between waking and sleeping like a leaf floating on the warm currents of a Jurassic lagoon, let me share with you the hidden connections that scientists almost missed, the subtle threads that weave the ancient world so intimately into the fabric of your present experience that every moment of your life is touched by the genius of those distant ecosystems. The first hidden connection came to light only in the last few decades, when researchers studying modern bird migration patterns realized that many of the flight paths followed by today's birds trace routes first established by flying reptiles during the Jurassic Period. The pterosaurs that soared above ancient seas left invisible highways in the sky, currents of rising warm air and favorable wind patterns that modern birds still follow instinctively, their tiny brains carrying genetic memories of paths first navigated 150 million years ago. Picture a flock of geese flying overhead right now, their V formation cutting through air currents that were shaped by the thermal dynamics of a world where vast, shallow seas created predictable patterns of evaporation and wind. These birds are not just traveling from one place to another, they are participating in a conversation between past and present, following aerial roads that were paved by creatures that lived and died when your hometown was covered by warm, tropical waters. But the hidden connections go much deeper than migration routes. The very rhythm of your sleep, the way your consciousness cycles between different levels of awareness throughout the night, mirrors patterns that were first established by early mammals living in the understory of Jurassic forests. These tiny creatures, no larger than modern shrews, developed the complex sleep architecture that you still use today. The precise cycling between light sleep, deep sleep, and REM sleep that allows your brain to process experience, consolidate memory, and prepare for the challenges of each new day. Scientists almost missed this connection because they were looking for it in the wrong place. They expected to find the origins of mammalian sleep patterns in later periods, when mammals became larger and more dominant. But the fossil evidence now shows that the basic structure of sleep consciousness was perfected during the Jurassic, when tiny proto-mammals learned to rest completely in a world that was safe enough to allow such vulnerability. Feel this ancient sleep pattern activating in your own nervous system now, the same pattern that allowed your distant ancestors to survive and thrive in a world of giants. Your brain is beginning the same precise sequence of neurochemical changes that have been guiding mammalian sleep for over 150 million years, a sequence so perfectly calibrated that it can restore your entire nervous system while leaving your essential life functions completely undisturbed. Another hidden connection that almost escaped scientific notice was the relationship between Jurassic plant chemistry and modern human neurology. Many of the plants that dominated Jurassic ecosystems produced compounds that had profound effects on the nervous systems of the animals that consumed them. These weren't toxins or defenses, but something more subtle, neurochemicals that promoted calm, steady awareness, that enhanced the ability to rest deeply and wake refreshed. Some of these same compounds are still produced by modern descendants of Jurassic plants. The calming effects of certain herbal teas, the peaceful feeling that comes from walking through old-growth forests, the deep relaxation that many people experience near large bodies of water, all of these responses may be echoes of neurochemical relationships that were established during the Jurassic period, when plant and animal nervous systems co-evolved in an atmosphere of abundance and mutual benefit. Your body recognizes these connections without your conscious mind needing to understand them. The peaceful feeling spreading through your muscles and nervous system right now is the same feeling that settled over countless creatures as they prepared for sleep in Jurassic forests, surrounded by plants that had learned to support, rather than stress, the delicate balance of mammalian neurology. But perhaps the most profound hidden connection of all is the way that Jurassic ecosystems establish patterns of sustainable abundance that your modern world is still trying to rediscover. The circular economy that recycled nutrients with perfect efficiency, the social structures that distributed resources equitably, the relationship between individual well-being and collective thriving, all of these principles were demonstrated on a planetary scale during the Jurassic Period. These connections weren't lost when the Jurassic Period ended. They were encoded in the genetic memory of every species that survived, stored in the deep structures of DNA that carry not just biological information, but ecological wisdom. You carry within your cells the knowledge of how to live in sustainable abundance, how to create conditions where all life can flourish, how to be part of systems that generate more life and beauty than they consume. As you drift deeper towards sleep, these hidden connections activate in your dreams, weaving together past and present, individual and cosmic, biological and spiritual, into the seamless wholeness that is your true nature. As we near the gentle conclusion of our journey, floating now in the liminal space between waking and dreaming, where the deepest insights arise like bubbles in still water, let us contemplate what the Jurassic revelation means for the future of science, for the future of consciousness, for the future of life itself on this beautiful planet. The Jurassic Period demonstrated something that modern science is only beginning to understand, that consciousness and environment are not separate phenomena, but aspects of a single, integrated intelligence that expresses itself through both individual awareness and ecological systems. This understanding is quietly revolutionizing every field of scientific inquiry, from neuroscience to ecology to physics itself. Imagine the laboratories of the future, where scientists study not just individual organisms, but the consciousness that emerges from their interactions, the intelligence that expresses itself through entire ecosystems. These researchers are discovering that the same principles that allowed Jurassic ecosystems to maintain stable abundance for millions of years can be applied to human societies, to economic systems, to the design of cities, and the cultivation of sustainable technologies. The future of medicine is learning from the Jurassic understanding of how individual health and environmental health are inseparable. Doctors are beginning to prescribe time in nature, connection to natural cycles, exposure to the chemical signals of plants and trees that communicate directly with human nervous systems in ways that pharmaceutical companies are only beginning to understand. The healing methods of the future will work not by fighting disease, but by restoring the natural balance between human consciousness and the living systems that sustain all life. But perhaps most importantly, the Jurassic revelation is guiding humanity toward a new understanding of technology itself. Instead of creating machines that dominate and exploit natural systems, future technologies will be designed to enhance and support the intelligence that is already present in living ecosystems. Cities will become like Jurassic forests, self-regulating systems that create more life and beauty than they consume. Transportation will follow the aerial highways, first mapped by pterosaurs, working with rather than against the natural flow of energy through Earth's atmosphere. Feel yourself drifting toward a future where human consciousness has remembered its connection to the planetary intelligence that created the Jurassic paradise, where every human choice is guided by the wisdom of systems that know how to sustain abundance across geological time scales. This is not a fantasy, but the natural direction of evolution itself, consciousness learning to express itself through ever more beautiful and sustainable forms. The scientists of the future will be more like the dinosaurs of the Jurassic Period, patient, collaborative, thinking in centuries rather than quarters, designing experiments that unfold across generations, seeking not just knowledge but wisdom, not just power, but harmony with the vast intelligence that creates and sustains all existence. This future is already beginning to emerge in the work of researchers who study biomimicry, learning to create technologies that function like living systems. In the growing understanding of regenerative agriculture, which restores soil and increases biodiversity while producing abundant food. In the development of circular economies that eliminate waste by ensuring that the output of every system becomes the input for another system. Your own consciousness is part of this evolutionary movement toward a future that remembers the Jurassic secrets of sustainable abundance. Every moment of peace you experience, every insight that arises in the quiet spaces between thoughts, every feeling of connection to something larger than yourself contributes to the growing planetary awareness that is learning to create conditions where all life can flourish. As you sink deeper into sleep, you become part of the future that is already emerging, a future where science and spirituality, individual consciousness and ecological awareness, human creativity and natural intelligence work together to create conditions of beauty and abundance that would make even the paradise ecosystems of the Jurassic Period seem like just the beginning of what is possible when consciousness learns to express itself through love rather than fear, through cooperation rather than competition, through the patient wisdom of geological time rather than the desperate urgency of quarterly profits. The future of science is the future of consciousness itself, learning to see through the eyes of both the individual and the ecosystem, both the moment and the millennium, both the human and the more than human world that dreams us into existence with every breath. As we approach the deepest waters of sleep where consciousness dissolves into the vast ocean of dreams and restoration, there remains one final mystery from the Jurassic world that scientists have not yet solved. One question so profound that it touches the very heart of what it means to be alive, to be aware, to be part of the ongoing story of consciousness, learning to know itself through countless forms across infinite time. The mystery is this: how did the Jurassic Earth know when it was time to end? After 56 million years of perfect stability, of sustainable abundance, of ecosystems so well balanced that they seemed capable of continuing forever, something began to change. It wasn't a sudden catastrophe, not an asteroid impact or massive volcanic eruption. It was something far more subtle, a gradual shift in the planetary intelligence itself, as if the Earth had learned everything it needed to learn from the Jurassic experiment and was ready to explore new forms of beauty, new expressions of consciousness, new ways of organizing matter and energy into ever more complex and wonderful configurations. The climate slowly began to cool. The vast, shallow seas that had covered much of the continents gradually receded. The oxygen-rich atmosphere that had supported creatures of impossible size slowly returned to more modest concentrations. It was as if the planet itself was gently, lovingly bringing one phase of its development to a close in preparation for the next great experiment in consciousness. But here's what makes this mystery so beautiful and so unsolved. Nothing was lost. Every innovation, every adaptation, every moment of beauty that emerged during the Jurassic Period was preserved, encoded in the genetic memory of surviving species, embedded in the geological record, woven into the deep patterns that continue to guide the evolution of consciousness on Earth. The flowering plants that would dominate the next great age of terrestrial life had already begun to evolve during the Jurassic. The first primitive mammals were developing the complex social behaviors and sophisticated parenting strategies that would eventually lead to species capable of pondering their own existence, of looking back across geological time and recognizing their connection to those ancient ecosystems. Even the dinosaurs didn't disappear. They learned to fly, transforming themselves into birds that would carry the memory of Jurassic skies into every dawn chorus, every migration, every nest built with the same care and precision that their giant ancestors brought to the construction of their own nests 150 million years ago. This is the final mystery that connects most intimately to your own experience. How does consciousness know when one phase of development is complete and it's time to move into something new? How do you know when it's time to let go of old patterns, old identities, old ways of being that have served their purpose and are ready to transform into something more beautiful, more aligned with the deepest intelligence that guides all existence? The answer seems to lie in the same wisdom that guided the Jurassic Earth through its gentle transformation. When systems become stable enough, abundant enough, secure enough, consciousness naturally begins to reach for something greater than what has come before. Not out of dissatisfaction with the present, but out of the inherent creativity of awareness itself, its endless capacity to discover new forms of beauty, new ways of expressing the love that is the fundamental force behind all evolution. Feel this process at work in your own life, in your own consciousness, as you transition from the waking world into the world of dreams. There is no struggle, no force, no attempt to make something happen. There is only the natural intelligence of your nervous system, guided by patterns perfected across hundreds of millions of years of evolutionary wisdom, knowing exactly when and how to shift from one state of consciousness to another. The Jurassic mystery remains unsolved because it points to something that cannot be fully understood by the thinking mind, only experienced by consciousness itself as it participates in the ongoing creation of beauty and complexity and love throughout the universe. You are part of this mystery, part of this ongoing creative process, part of the same intelligence that knew how to create paradise ecosystems and knew when it was time to let them transform into something new. As you drift now into the deepest rest, you carry with you the peace of those ancient worlds, the knowledge that you are held and guided by an intelligence vast enough to sustain life across geological time, gentle enough to support the most delicate processes of growth and transformation, creative enough to ensure that every ending is also a beginning, every sleep also a preparation for new awakening. The final mystery of the Jurassic world is your mystery too, the mystery of consciousness knowing exactly how to let go and how to become, how to honor what has been while remaining open to what is yet to be born. Tonight you have traveled through 56 million years of Earth's most abundant and peaceful age, uncovered the secrets of atmospheric abundance and planetary intelligence, felt your connection to the gentle giants who walked through cathedral forests when the world was young, discovered the hidden threads that connect ancient ecosystems to your modern experience of consciousness, and touched the final mystery of how awareness knows when it's time to transform into something new and beautiful. You have learned that you are not separate from the processes that created those paradise ecosystems, but are their continuation, their current expression, their way of experiencing the ongoing miracle of life, learning to know itself through countless forms across infinite time. Next time we'll explore another chapter in this vast story, perhaps journeying to the depths of ancient oceans or the heights of mountain ranges that rose and fell long before human eyes ever gazed upon their beauty, always discovering new ways that the distant past lives on in the immediate present, always finding new reasons to rest in wonder at the intelligence that dreams all existence into being. If this journey has brought you peace and wonder, subscribe for more cosmic storytelling and let yourself drift now into dreams filled with ancient forests and gentle giants, knowing that the same intelligence that created those impossible worlds of beauty continues to create and sustain your own life with perfect precision and infinite love. Sleep well, fellow traveler, in time. The ancient Earth dreams with you still.